I'll see y'all a little bit.
Thank you. And thank you all for coming. This is kind of an experiment. We've never done anything like this. But when I took office, one of the things that I wanted to make sure of is that we had connection with the community. We are here to serve the community. Our job as prosecutors is to present cases in which citizens are victims to courts and to juries and get people convicted and sent off to where some of them belong to prison or jail or probation and treatment. So we wanted to come out here to listen to your concerns in this particular area and answer any questions you may have about how we can all together come and improve public safety, or if you have questions about the criminal justice system or concerns, I will try to answer them. And I'm going to give you this caveat that if I do not know the answer, I am not embarrassed to admit it, and we'll find out the answer, and we will get back to you. So if there's a question that I don't know the answer to, I'm going to send someone to come get your name and number, and we'll call you back this week to let you know what the answer is. I don't know how many of you are familiar with me, but my husband, Mike Anderson, was elected district attorney last year and took office in January and passed away from cancer in the fall. And after much deliberation and family meetings, I decided to apply to be appointed by Governor Perry's position. He was appointed to this position. The reason I wanted to do it is because I shared with my passion for this office. I was a prosecutor for 12 years, best job I ever had. I worked my way up from misdemeanor to felony and ended my career by trying capital murders. And I guess the highlight of my career was prosecuting the railroad kill of Johnny Holmes. After that, I ran for judge and was elected to the 177th Criminal District Court, where I presided over felony cases, capital murders, and I also volunteered to be a drug court judge. With the Obama sweep, I lost my job and kind of had to start over. And Judge Rob Thomas and I started to practice together a little bit more. I'm sorry.
I moved it closer.
I was worried about the moving. Can you hear me now? I sure don't want to start over. So maybe you can ask your neighbor, what did she say? Anyway, I went into private practice with Rob Thomas, and we did that for 4 years. And I just want to say I'm really glad to be a prosecutor again. That suits my temperament, in my opinion, a lot better than ever being in private practice. I want to tell you briefly, I think almost everybody now with the focus on television and criminal justice, pretty much everybody knows what prosecutors do. But in case you don't, I want to make it clear that it's exactly like Law & Order, which is a surprisingly accurate television show. The police go investigate the crime, and they solve the crime, and they present the facts to the prosecutor. And in Harris County, we have prosecutors who are available 24/7, holidays, rain, shine, snow, whatever, to answer phone calls from police officers to present the facts of the case and ask us if we'll take charges. So we have a lawyer review every charge that's taken. And if the charge is accepted, then the defendant is taken to jail, the case is created and is assigned to a court, and then the prosecutors in that court handle that case. And they either work the case out on a plea bargain, or they go to trial to a jury or a court. So that is what we do. We represent you. We represent the state of Texas. We have a victim witness division that helps complainants with their cases. We have all kinds of people that help you get through the court system if you have been victimized. So just before we start, you may wonder why is she not answering that question. I just want you to know what we do and what our role is. So thank you very much for coming tonight, and I'm going to pass it over to Commissioner Cagle, who I don't think needs an introduction, but I think he wants to say some words.
It's a privilege and an honor to be here this evening with you. I have two sets of thanks. First, I want to thank our new district attorney, Devon Anderson, for having the desire. Is that better? Here we go. I have two thanks that I want to give this evening. First, I want to thank our new district attorney, Devon Anderson, for having the desire and the foresight to have a session such such as this to get the feedback. A lot of things are happening in 1960. Mainly massage parlors, regulation, which we had our public hearings in this very room, and with regard to our attempts to mitigate and to eliminate the illegal operation of game rooms, which are law 1960, which we also had that public hearing in this very room. And so it is appropriate that you were here this evening at Northwoods Presbyterian Church, which leads me to my second thanks, which is to the members of this congregation and their pastor who so freely opened this facility up for our public comments, for our areas of concern in our region. And so my role tonight is a fairly limited one because I'm not directly involved in law enforcement or in the prosecution of crime, but in the role of being a supporter of law enforcement and prosecution of crime. And I'm very delighted to have the privilege of being here with this august group, with the State Representative Debbie Riddle, who I understand has to leave shortly. We also have a number of other community leaders, including Barbara Thomason with the Chamber of the region. I don't know if I spotted anybody else that's out there, but this is a great event this evening. Thank you, Devon, for putting this on for us.
Like the Commissioner, I too am enthusiastic that we have such a wonderful crowd that's really interested in doing something about the crime in our community. Feel like I'm swallowing those. And the resources that we have that work along your thoroughfares and in your communities. How many of you here tonight are business owners in this area? Good number. You're an important part of what we do to help control criminal activity and public safety in our area. So we'd love to be able to work a little closer with you to share information about what we think you might be able to do to have an impact along with the law enforcement resources in this area. So my thanks to all of you for being here tonight.
Hi, I don't know if this is even working. Can you hear me? My name is Steve Marino. I'm representing the sheriff, and I'm happy to be here. Here to answer your questions about any of the crime issues, policing issues, any problems you have regarding that. And just happy to be here and willing to answer the questions that you have.
Good evening. My name is David Kimberly. I'm here representing Klein ISD. I'd like to thank District Attorney for presenting or putting this committee together, or this group, so we can have this open dialogue. Be happy to answer any questions you have in reference to what's going on in Klein ISD. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Garza, and I'm the captain of the Spring ISD Police Department. I'm here on behalf of Chief Victor Mitchell. I'm new to this area, to the department, 1 year. However, I do have, to follow up on that, 18 years of law enforcement behind me. So I want to make sure that you are aware that we are doing everything that we can to provide a safe school campus and environment for the students, faculty, and staff, as well as the parents and the community of Spring ISD. And if you have, I would be more than glad to assist you with them.
Okay, we're going to do this by, everybody submitted their questions. I have some here. I'm going to read them, and then if it's appropriate for me to answer, I'll answer. If not, I'll see if somebody will volunteer. If not, I'll call on them, like school. So the first one is, will there be only traffic lights replacing stop signs, or will there be additional lights? For example, between Aspen Bend and Cypresswood. So I'm going to punt that question to someone who may know about the red light issue, I believe, on TC Jester.
Well, I know that a number of folks are here tonight about the TC Jester issue. I came to a community meeting a few weeks ago in October. Is that better? Or is that too loud? There are a number of folks who are here this evening who are interested in the issue of the lights and stop signs on the TC Jester corridor from Beltway 8 to 2920. And after a meeting with the community association and a number of the We requested that the study be done. The results of that study should come in sometime in the first couple of weeks of January. We don't have the results of that study yet. I made a commitment that we would redo the study. The study is being redone, and so I cannot answer any questions about what is going to occur yet until we have the data.
Public safety.
What is the purpose of this meeting, basically?
Public safety. Issues regarding crime in this area. Issues of concern to citizens in this area. The next question is, excuse me, sir, we're going to do this by these note cards. That's why we have it. That's why we got this going. Nope. The next question is, what is being done to address crime from in the apartments on Wonderly? And I wonder if Constable Hickman, are you familiar with that?
The question is what's being done to avoid, address crime on the apartments on Woodland. There are several sets of apartments as well as townhouses on Waterway. We do along with the sheriff's office responding calls for service there, but I've not seen any direct analysis on Waterway in particular.
I don't have any crime analysis information in particular area. I have overall crime analysis for the district in 1960 quarter. I will get back to whoever this is for crime analysis information on this and see what issues are there and we'll address them.
How can we ensure repeat offenders are kept off the streets? There's a lot of different things that we can do with that. Actually, if I had to answer that, I can't be a trillionaire. But the issue, what we try to do is have strong law enforcement presence in bad areas. We try to present the best cases that we can to the jury and have all of our facts in court to present strong cases for punishment so repeat offenders can be held in jail. We treat first offenders and habitual offenders completely differently, as they should be treated. First offenders typically will get some kind of supervised probation, and if they violate, then they go to jail. Habitual or repeat offenders pretty much right off the bat, obviously, should go to jail or to prison. Issues about parole, our parole laws have gotten a lot stronger, especially when weapons are used, deadly weapons are used in cases. They have to serve 50% of their time before they're even considered for parole. And most of the time don't make it the first time around. So those are some ways that we can try to keep repeat offenders off the streets. Does anybody else want to address that issue? Are speed bumps more efficient?
I will say actually no. Now, for one aspect of controlling traffic and speed, yes. But when a government agency places a speed bump on a roadway, then all of your emergency responders, your law enforcement, fire trucks have a terrible time going over speed bumps to respond to fire. Law enforcement the same way. And I assume to some degree the county becomes liable for the damage done to their car if they place a speed bump and damage the vehicle going over. About 8 years ago, if I recall, Commissioner's Court took a position to not install speed bumps in the county.
I'm going to just read this question just so everybody's on this. I think this is an important one to read. Are the traffic lights on TC Jester a done deal or can this be fixed?
The question is about the TC Jester. The answer is the same. I attended the town hall meeting in the TC Jester corridor at Spring Creek Oaks. I made a commitment we would restudy that. We're in the process of restudying that. We should have our result back in middle of January. At the time we have the results back, I'm going to meet with the homeowner association of the different boards that are there, and discuss what those results are, and the other necessary elected officials, or other officials of the homeowner association's desire. But at this point in time, there's no answer until January.
And that was actually a question I saw on the card, that would you have the town hall meeting when the plan is, when the study is finished?
The question is, will I have a town hall meeting after the study is done? I'll make that decision after I meet with the elected homeowner association. It may be that they desire that we have another town hall discussing. It may be that the decision is not. I'm not going to make a commitment at this time one way or the other. I can tell you that I have heard from the community, both through your presence that's here, your presence at the prior town hall meeting that we had, through your elected official, Debbie Withers, who called me, and through others to make sure that, so your voice has been heard. I want to make sure that you understand that. We're just in the process, because I was requested to do the restudy. We're doing the restudy.
Here's a non-red light question. One. Two stacks. One. This is red light. So. And that's clearly what a lot of you have come here to talk about. And I think the commissioner has pretty much said that he is waiting to hear what the study is going to say. And if you have other questions, we'll be certainly happy to answer them. I'll keep going through these. I'm trying not to be repetitive. A lot of them are the same. So I was trying to come up with different ones that have a different slant to them. The one that I can answer that I believe is directed to me is, will you continue prosecuting trace cases? And the answer to that is yes, because it's the law. I took an oath 3 months ago. I swore to God to uphold the laws of the state of Texas and the United States, and that's what I'm going to do. The law now prohibits possession of less than a gram of crack cocaine, and whatever I personally may think of that law does not matter. And I don't think you want a district attorney who picks and chooses which law to prosecute and which ones not to. There are arguments for and against the prosecution of that type of law, but that's irrelevant. I have to enforce the law. So if an officer brings me a case and there is probable cause present that a defendant is knowingly in possession of less than 1 gram of cocaine, we're going to take charges. Now, what I've done that's different is that when I got into office, I learned that this year 800 new felons have been made because of these cases. 800 first offenders, people who've never been in trouble before, had been convicted of a felony because they chose to take a small amount of jail time in exchange for a felony conviction. So basically 800 new felons were created. That's not a good plan. That's not a smart way to punish these cases, because what happens is people who are addicted to crack immediately come back. They serve 30 or 60 or 90 days in the Harris County Jail. They get out and they immediately reoffend and they're back. It's a vicious cycle. So what I told the prosecutors in our office was that we are going to emphasize rehabilitation, drug treatment for people who are nonviolent, who have either a demonstrated drug history because of convictions or are first offenders. We are offering them drug treatment instead of putting them in the Harris County Jail. And the jail population has gone down since I have started that policy 22%. So I think that's a smarter solution to this problem. This problem is not going away. People who are addicted to crack can kill for, rob for, steal for money to buy more drugs. We have to address the problem head on. We can't ignore it, and we can't selectively prosecute laws. Just won't do it. Okay, how about another red light question? Sorry. This is a non-one, I'm sorry. What can be done when Harris County Constable Internal Affairs refuses to investigate a clear case of criminal abuse by officers. So, if first I can have, I don't know, Ron, you want to answer?
Well, I will tell you that first, there's no reason why our internal affairs would not, when there is a clear case. And we've seen recent examples of that fact actually being done. And you all watched on television, as I did, an officer kicking a prisoner who was in custody on the ground. In fact, our ID presented the case to the DA, and those charges were accepted as a result of our investigation. So, I've not seen a single case where somebody brought evidence where an officer was clearly involved or abusing someone that we did not investigate. In fact, if the situation occurred where we refused to investigate, they could take it to the DA's office, their public integrity unit would pick it up and confirm with what we had already done or refused to do and pick it up from there. So really, it's a waste of time to say you won't investigate something, because it's going to be done in any case.
And I wasn't going to get complicated when I said that our office only receives police investigations, but there are 2 units in our office that do active investigations, and one of them is public integrity, which investigates public servants and police officers who are accused of some type of crime. And Civil Rights Division, all police officer shootings are investigated by our office and presented to a grand jury. I'm sure you read the Chronicle recently. But we oftentimes get cases where, for whatever reason, a department's IAD division did not investigate the officer, but they had an in-house kind of discipline instead. And so quite often we'll pick up the case and investigate it too. So that's always a recourse, is coming to our office and filing a complaint. I don't know who this goes to, but will this area ever provide sidewalks for pedestrians on Louetta or Kirkendall for shoulders for bikers?
That's going to be a question to me. Harrison County, as a county, is in precinct 4. We do not provide sidewalks. What we do, though, is partner with homeowner associations and with mud districts. And many times it will be a hiking or a biking trail that we will go into partnership with them through a process of trying to figure out how to spend the scarce resources that we have. Now, the specific area, I can't give you the answer to, but that's going to be normally your mud and your homeowner association responsibility, unless it fits within one of the schemes of one of our trail systems in the area. And so the answer is, will the area ever provide one? Talk to your homeowner association in your mud district, get involved with those guys, and that's the direction that you need to take if you're concerned about sidewalks in that particular area or any other area in the precinct.
Okay, and I know y'all are watching me shovel these cards. A lot of them are asking about the study, or they're asking about if we will have another opportunity to address the red light issue. So I'm kind of taking those out because the commissioners addressed both of those questions. But here's, I'll ask this of all the officers who are here. Why are there no police writing tickets along TC Jester during rush hours?
Well, if you recall some months back, I guess probably a year or more ago, when we opened TC Jester up from Spring Cypress to the south, was a considerable hue and cry about the people coming south on TC Jester heading towards Cypresswood. We put a significant number of resources out there in an attempt to both slow them down as well as deter speeders and road a considerable number of speeds. So we continue that as available resources will allow us to. But as you're aware, there are a lot of other things going on. 911 calls that we need to respond to. And both the sheriff and our resources are tied up doing what we can. You recall it was just 2 short years ago that I had to lay off hundreds of my employees. So we're still in the rebuilding phase trying to get those resources back. So as much as we would love to be able to have the leisure time to try to write tickets all day long, there's still other things that the community needs us to do.
I'll just echo what the constable said. Our resources are such that we run 911 calls and 911 calls in our district. Harris County is growing exponentially, and Commissioners, we'll open to expanding our range here at the Sheriff's Department. And we're in that process, but right now we can call it.
Okay, here's one for Klein ISD. What is the most common offense in Klein High School? And can you address the drug situation in Klein High School?
Wow, where to begin on that one? Most common offense, typically, most of our offenses are going to be Class C type offenses. They're going to be minor infractions, anything from disagreements to abusive language to assault by contact, that type of thing. Unfortunately, in our last legislative session, a lot of that was those police powers were taken away from the ISDs. So as a result, we've had to push a lot of that back to the administration unless there is a repeated pattern of behavior, a continuous pattern of behavior. And at that point, then we can intervene. But as it stands now, we've unfortunately lost a lot of that, a lot of our Class C stuff. As far as the drug situation, I'm trying to find the right words here. Drugs are a community-wide problem. They're not just a school-wide problem. They're not, and as a result, do we see our share? Absolutely. Do we actively enforce it? Absolutely. Do we work closely with the Crime Stoppers? We develop relationships with these kids to get them to come in and share with us when they know something's going on. And we are doing our level best to intervene and get it out of our campuses. It's actually a high priority for us to take care of it.
How many of you are aware that the law enforcement authority inside schools has dramatically changed in the last legislative session? The tools that law enforcement had prior to that time are now pretty well gone. They can't provide Class C citations, and the legislature is attempting to change the swing of the pendulum where everything that was done in school from disruptive behavior, chewing gum, violation of policies, all got traffic citations in Class C all the way up to fighting on the school bus. So now what the legislature has done is require that every prosecutor who's going to pursue a criminal case against a child in school has required certain things they have to have in place. They have to have an officer's offense report to back up the charge. They have to have an external witness to corroborate those things. So your primary stuff, your assaults and other things they can go forward with, the things they used to be able to handle in the Class C now are so constrained that it's going to be difficult. So if little Johnny's sauntering down the hall, he should be in class and they can write him a ticket or something and find drugs, they no longer have those tools. There's been some dramatic changes, and there are some conflicts between the Senate bill and the House bill and exactly what officers can do. And there's a lot of confusion amongst law enforcement about exactly how now they're going to deal with those kinds of issues. And clearly, I think the legislative intent was to have school administrations deal more directly with behavioral problems and not create law enforcement issues with these children, move them into the criminal justice system as a conduit from activity in schools. So it is going to take a little while for that to settle to a plateau, and we know exactly what law enforcement will be able to do at the moment.
And for Captain Garza, Spring ISD, there's a question. Incidents occurring on Spring ISD property. Should Spring ISD police handle the situation over, she said, I think the person said Harris County Police Department. So I guess Harris County Sheriff's Office.
Yes, it's depending on the situation. Currently, we have contractual officers who are on our campuses. So if they do come across an incident, yes, they will be handling that incident and that situation. Again, with the new laws in place, it has placed several situations at a standstill with administration having to resolve the majority of those issues. And I just wanted to add to the previous question that we are taking proactive measures versus a lot of reactiveness. And joining up with the Sheriff's Office with the iWatch program, Crime Stoppers, and different avenues to maintain that proactivity to address the issues and concerns of any type of drug offenses or Class B misdemeanors and above.
And this one is, to me, pertaining to response on trace. Have you reached out to local churches to help with those individuals who may be repeat offenders, to help them get back on their feet? We'd love to help. And that is funny you should ask that, because today I met with the Houston Ministers Against Crime, and we talked about that. They've got several programs they're trying to institute about helping families while the people in their family are incarcerated. But they also have programs for people who are getting out of jail or on probation who need support. I have always been a proponent of having church involvement. I don't think it violates church and state for a church community to help a member of their congregation or help a family in their congregation when someone has a drug problem or someone's been sent off to prison and the wife and the children are at a loss on how they're going to continue without the breadwinner. They're on board, and I would love to hear anybody call me or email me. You can email me through the website. I would love to have people step up and think of ways we can help families who are left behind during incarceration, or support people who are coming out of prison who have felony convictions, how they can start working again. Employers who are interested in employing. We did all of that with drug court. We had a lot of programs that helped our clients get jobs while they were recovering. So that's a great question. Thank you. Here's one for Commissioner Cagle. The town hall meeting on traffic lights was in Spring Creek Oaks, which is far from Old Oaks. A lot of us would like to have one in Old Oaks.
All right, heard you. Mark, make a note.
This is an interesting question. What can we as citizens do to have the laws concerning sentencing changed to reflect accurate truth in sentencing? For example, 10 years is 10 years, not 2 years and a month. This will help the jury. Well, that's your legislature and the parole board sets those rules. And I can't tell you how many times as a judge, I go back and talk to a jury after they assess 50 years or 40 years, or only to find out that, oh no, you gave him 40 years, he's up for parole in 20. It's very frustrating, and it has to do with prison overcrowding, frankly. And the laws have to be changed on that. I agree. That's so. Just so you know, it's the legislature. You can write your legislature. Every 2 years they meet. We brace ourselves for. I don't know if Debbie Riddle's still here, but we brace ourselves to say, "Oh, they're going to change the law." That's where you go for that change. Here's one. I've noticed a couple of instances of what appears to be gang-related graffiti on brick walls surrounding our subdivisions. Is there increased gang activity in this area?
There will always be groups that affiliate with themselves, and we have small pockets of our community that has gang involvement. And I know the sheriff and I both worked on graffiti issues along 1960, the light store down at Branch in 1960, and you can contact either of our departments to see about getting a business painting on graffiti there. I don't think that I've seen it recently that we haven't addressed. We try to get on those as soon as we can. I know the sheriff has a project where they will send somebody out. The legislature has now changed the laws to make the business responsible for that cost if they don't address it. So we send letters to let them know they need to do that. And if they don't, then we'll get somebody over and get painted over. They may not like our color.
We got color.
Yeah, it's great. If you know of a location, let us know and we'll get somebody right on it. We don't want that graffiti sign there, whether it's just tagging or whether it's graffiti for gang identified territory and those kind of things. We don't want anything because it's unsightly. We don't want to put everything. Address that.
I will tell you something you're probably not aware of. Crime for the first 10 months of this year compared to the first 10 months of last year is down. Now, that being said, the perception of crime is a real issue. The perception of crime is up. We realize that. We have these high-profile robberies that are on the television every night, especially on the 1960 corridor. We've worked very hard with our patrol units, our undercover units, our bank robbery task force to attack this issue. And I think you can see over the past month we haven't had those issues. You haven't seen a lot of news stories regarding robberies of banks along the 1960 corridor. That's a result of a lot of hard work on these officers' part to put these people in jail, follow up on it, find out who their leaders are, put their leaders in jail. We've done a lot of warrant roundups in the area too, and we're capturing a bunch of crooks that may be wanted for some other type of crime, but these are the people that are also committing violent crimes. So we are working hard in this area along the 1960 corridor to bring crime under control.
Pretty much as a DA's office, we have zero tolerance regarding gangs. If we have evidence that you're in a gang, your ticket to ride is punished. There's no justification for probation in that type of situation. If gang activity is going on, we need to stamp it out. We have to deal with them like they deal with us. So we're going to be locking them up. Here's a question. What steps are being taken to eliminate human trafficking, prostitution in the FM 1960 Stubner Airline area? And I would like to address that in general about our office. My husband Mike hired the first human trafficking specialist, as far as we know, in the state. Her name is Ann Johnson. She was a prosecutor and then in private practice and became kind of an expert in the human trafficking area. She is our liaison to all agencies in Harris County, and she is teaching our misdemeanor prosecutors how to identify women who are charged with prostitution as human trafficking victims. Because of course there's two types of prostitutes. One who is willingly in the business to make money, and two, the other who is forced to, either economically or physical abuse. So Ann knows how to identify those women. When a misdemeanor prosecutor thinks that they have one, she will go interview them and try to get them to flip on their pimp, which means we try to turn the prostitute against the pimp, the man or woman who is prostituting them. We are also, for the first time, prosecuting Johns. That is something that just has never been done prior. We're trying to cut off the demand so we can end the supply.
Devon, you're the newest on this panel, but second to you was me. And October 2 years ago, when I first began serving as a county commissioner, Debbie Riddle and Patricia Harless approached me and told me they wanted my help to shut down the tea rooms. Now, when I was a child, my grandmother used to put me in a suit, comb my hair back, and take me downtown to this place called Sakowitz, and up and upstairs and sit in this room where they served me a sandwich with the crust cut off, and it had vegetables on the inside. And as a small child, all of these other friends of my grandmother would pinch me on the cheeks, and that was the tea room. So when Debbie Riddle and Patricia Harless asked me for my help to shut down the tea rooms, I said, I'm in. Little did I know that this was not my grandmother's tea room. And what we had in this area were fronts for prostitution, to where they served something much more heinous than tea, and multiple victims in our community occurred as a consequence of that. Your husband, Devon, was very instrumental in those early meetings when we got together with the district attorney's office, with your constable, with your sheriff's office, with your community leaders. Barbara's over there, I see Larry Lipton is in the room. And your community leaders pulled together and sat in one room to figure out how we could make this happen. In this very building, we had the hearings, public hearings, to be able to pass the regulations that allowed us to drive those tea rooms out of our region, because the city of Houston had passed ordinances, and therefore the folks that were engaging in that practice came up here to 1960. We now were able to give our law enforcement agencies the same tools that they had in the city of Houston to continue to drive that evil blight out into the city and out of our county and out of our communities. Since that period of time, and I'm going to let Constable Hickman here and Major brag for a minute, we have been able to shut down many of these institutions because we stopped the revolving door. They would go in, undercover, stop the facility, and then the next week, Lily's massage parlor would reopen up as Rose's massage parlor. They would shut that one down and then would open up as Orca's massage parlor. They have been very successful in being able to stop that revolving door and being able to end this in our community. And so the panel that you're looking at of folks here, along with your state reps, working together, have been able to make a positive impact in this community. Your husband was part of the leader of that, Devon, and these folks deserve your applause for what they've done in the last year.
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you, Devon. I will tell you that we have been working on this problem and recognized it several years ago. As a result of your phone calls and your emails, we heard very clearly from the community, you didn't want that kind of activity going on next door to your salon, next door to your dry cleaners, next door to your tailors. And several of these locations sit right in those retail centers on 1960 where you have to do other business. So we partnered up with the Sheriff's Vice Unit and came up with a strategy that allows us to go after the business side of the massage industry without attacking the prostitution side. You know, we're not really encouraged to send our guys into the state. And that's not the easiest way to do that business. It's a labor-intensive activity, no pun intended, and you only after one purpose. You make a prostitution case, that one girl goes to jail, the business goes on. So we really wanted to do something to attack the business. So we did a lot of research on the legal side, and the occupation code allows us to go in and thoroughly investigate the business. They have to have a license to be there to begin with. Every person who touches somebody has to have a license. So, you know, we did an effective job, but we couldn't find that eventual tool that will allow us to close them down. And nobody in here who has a business wants law enforcement to come in and point a finger and say, you can't operate your business. So we had to have that tool. And working with the commissioner, we got the county attorney involved. We were already prosecuting cases criminally. That didn't stop. So we began filing civil injunctions through the county attorney's office. And once we were able to do that, then the business just stops. Because if they reopen under another name, then they're still enjoying under the law to keep from operating that location. So we've had a great team and task force with the sheriff's office, working with Captain Riggs and his group. If you want to step outside after we're finished, you'll see a booth out there that we set up. We now have a dedicated, permanently assigned grant on human trafficking. We have a database of just under 1,000 women that we have come into contact with in the massage parlors on 1960s. So you can imagine that volume of women who are coming through. Some of them are being trafficked. The challenge for us is to identify which ones and to get their cooperation. And I will tell you that is the most challenging criminal offense to try to investigate and prosecute that I've ever encountered. We've worked with Redeemed Ministries, we've worked with other social service groups, all kinds of folks. And we've worked with immigration, ICE, to try to get someone to convince one of those people to tell us that they're being trafficked. And not one in almost 1,000 that they're willing to do that. So it is a very challenging area. It's not one that we're ignoring. We have considerable resources that continue to go every time we get an email. About 40% of the stuff that we investigate comes from an email from you. You can go to our website and do an anonymous tip when a massage parlor pops up next door to your dry cleaner, and we'll send somebody over there and go and take care of business. And we frequently take the sheriff's office with us, and we take the fire marshal along with us. You'd be amazed how much power the fire marshal has. So we're using every tool at our disposal. The county attorney, the district attorney, the ICE, fire marshal, our guys, and we have stopped the spread. So from Kirkendall all the way back down to the Champions area, you don't see a new massage parlor popping up every week. So that part has been very effective. We look forward to continuing that effort, not slowing it down. We want to make sure they know they probably need to be in the Woodlands, not out here.
I just wanted to second what he says. The sheriff has made it his #1 commitment to combating trafficking. We've increased our number of officers in our vice units. We've created a gaming squad that goes after these game rooms. Look, good people don't attend these places, okay? The groups do. And that's what we're going after. We're going after these gaming rooms, massage bars, and strip clubs. I'll tell you a success story. A few months back, we closed down Houston Dolls based on some civil ordinance, civil inspections. Violated so many times the various rules of being a good business, and we shut them down.
And this is kind of a follow-up question. It says, with new legislation regulating SOBs and game rooms, has the DA's office and Constable's office noted any reduction of crime on the 1960 corridor, particularly in thefts, burglaries, robberies, etc.? And I'd like you to, do you have any idea, Constable Hickman?
We don't, jump up in front of the news camera every time we do a raid. I'll tell you, in the last 3 weeks, we've raided 3 different game rooms and netted about $80,000 from the gambling going on in those locations. But when we move those people out and close those places down, we just closed down the target for a robbery. They are a target-rich environment, and time after time, case after case across this county, those game rooms are being robbed. There are a handful of homicides directly related to robberies in those game rooms, as well as numerous other crimes. They're not there doing legitimate business, and so they've got security guards there, and security guards trying to shoot the bad guy. One of the patrons gets shot instead. It's an overall bad situation. So we're working very closely with a variety of different agencies now. We have the sheriff's group, our group, the other constables are now involved, beginning to attack this problem county-wide. We hope to bring a head around this. Several years ago, working with our state reps, we went to the legislature to give the county the authority to regulate massage parlors. That became so effective that we took the same approach with game rooms. So they gave us in the last legislature the authority for Commissioners Court to establish regulations dealing with game rooms. And we're looking forward to seeing those begin implementation pretty quickly, and that will really add to the success that we're seeing on a monthly basis. Thank you, Commissioner.
Often there is confusion about whether the precinct 4 constable or the Harris County Sheriff's Department should be contacted about a crime issue. How does a citizen or resident know when to contact one or the other? I think that's a great question.
And you call who you need. That's 911. You don't care what the company, of course, uniform look the same these days, but you want a cop, you want one now, you want one quick as you can get it. So you call whichever number you think will get it to you the fastest. Regardless of the scenario or the situation, we work well together and have for decades. We work under a memorandum of understanding that if a case requires follow-up on sheriff detectives, and we're on the same computer system, we're on the same radio system. So, I mean, if you can't get through 911 and you put on hold, then call my dispatcher, we'll get somebody rolling. Because we can roll it over to the sheriff's office probably as fast as they can sometimes. So call who you need. If you're not in an emergency and you need an officer, you call our direct dispatch number or their direct dispatch number, and we have systems that sort those things out. So you shouldn't trouble yourself with that.
Yeah, when you call an SGO code, and it will automatically dispatch to the appropriate agency.
Our systems are designed with that intelligence built in, so depending on what your address is, then it'll route the call to the appropriate. We had a situation that Cut Road in 1960 recently. Some confusion between the 911 operators at the city of Houston, not recognizing that being a city call. But other than that, we routinely have very.
There are sometimes there's glitches between the various agencies, city and the county geocodes, but for the most part, I think we work all those out.
For the ISD officers here, are the ISDs doing enough to have enough officers to keep up with explosive growth?
With Klein ISD and after the events that occurred in Sandy, our school board saw fit to, we increased our staffing by almost 25% overnight. It's been a long road trying to get those hired, but as a result, I don't have the stats with me, but we have dedicated officers for our elementary schools now. And that is what they do all day. They move from elementary to elementary and pick up some intermediates. So as a result, I think we have, in fact, our numbers, we try to stay around 900 or so, one officer per 900 to 1,000. And we're right in line with that at this time.
And I would like to add that for spring, we have added to our staff, as well as currently do have a proposal in place for additional officers to be added to that staff. And we also have joined in several memorandums of understanding with our surrounding agencies. Should we need assistance, and we can call upon them and have that agreement in order. As I did state earlier, we have contracted out to have those limited resources backfilled with those officers. So that's why in our schools currently, the minimum in a high school right now is 5 officers, with spring having 8 officers on location every day, Monday through Friday. We also have implemented a gang suppression unit, which consists of 2 officers specifically designated to that unit. They are plainclothes officers, so they're able to walk amongst the students within the schools to gather intelligence to enter into a database. So with that, yes, I do believe we are assessing that situation well and adding to it continuously.
And it's been a long time since I was in the JP division doing traffic tickets, so I'm not sure about this answer. Can a car be ticketed for parking too close to a fire hydrant in a gated neighborhood? It's like Jeopardy. Anybody know that?
Gated communities are not routinely public roadways, those are private roadways. Unless, they donated that roadway to the county, in such case, they probably wouldn't have a gate on it anyway. As for the fire hydrant, I don't know if a fire violation or not. There still is a violation.
Even though it's gated and it's a private community, there's still certain violations, and that is one of blocking a fire hydrant.
My understanding is we also have an official in the House, Judge Corduba. I understand you're here. Would you stand up? There she is. Judge Corduba is one of our municipal judges, and Tom Hall, and so some of the issues that we're discussing now affect her. So thank you for being here tonight.
All right, next question is, what is the policy regarding minors standing in the street or median in 1960, Kirkendall and Louetta, soliciting donations and advertising car washes, etc., putting themselves at risk? How are the adults in charge of their activities dealt with? I heard that was a big issue here. It is where I live also. Nobody likes to be sitting in your car and be approached. You worry about the safety, especially of minors. I did some research and learned that it is legal right now to do that. You can beg, you can wash people's windshields, you can pass a boot, you can advertise car washes in the median. It's legal. We can't do anything about it. So here's one where you can write to your state representative. Also, I want to say my husband tried to get some legislation passed where people would have to pay a $5 licensing fee and have to wear a identifying badge and an orange vest for safety, and that didn't go anywhere. He was trying to regulate it a little bit, or if you couldn't afford the $5 fee, you watch a video on why not to stand in a median the middle of traffic. You're welcome. But that didn't go.
Before I jump into that, I understand that Patricia Harless is here. Patricia, stand up. That story I told about the tea room, she was one of the ones that talked to me about it. And she was really excited about it. And so glad to have you here tonight, Patricia. In fact, Devon, your office is still working with us, and the county engineer, we're trying to come up with some sort of regulation that perhaps past the constitutional muster and legal issues that are being addressed. You can't stop one type of speech and allow another type of speech. And that's what the DA's office has taught us. You can't say it's all right to have someone out there soliciting for their trip to the baseball playoffs and then prohibit the panhandler from soliciting money so that you can have a sandwich. What we're trying to do at this point in time is to deal with it on the traffic side. And hopefully we can put in a county-wide regulation that says that certain matters or issues that deal with standing in the street are going to be something that we will not tolerate. Now, that means that if you have the folks that are trying to raise money for their trip to playoffs, they're going to be allowed to do that as long as they're on the sidewalk, but not in the street. And so we're trying to go in a different direction than our previous approach to the funding. So this is not a dead issue. And we're also going to be talking to our state reps to try to continue to get some help from them in the legislature in this area. What we have found is that in many of the areas in the county, especially on the ends of 1960, that many of the panhandlers have become emboldened. And where if you don't give them the money, then they come and they break the windshield wipers off of the back of your vehicle. They've become to where it's no more just a nuisance, but they're now violent components. And we need to beef up our regulatory ability, because if all they're doing is panhandling, our men here don't have the tools to be able to stop it. And so that's our job, is to give them the tools so that they can both stop it and then our DA can prosecute.
We both dedicated a number of resources to the panhandling issue, and that reaches out to a variety of social problems. You've got homeless people who are largely tension of the panhandlers, living in the woods and every little pocket doesn't have a house or a business on it. And there are so many related issues to that just goes on and on. Many of them have illnesses, so you can write on a traffic citation if they're not going to pay. Arrest them, you wind up taking them to the hospital, and everything pays with the time for sitting with that prisoner. There are a variety of different situations involved with panhandling as a problem, but we're all focused on getting that nuisance out of the street. Nobody wants to be driving along as you take off, the 9 cars in front of you are stopped by one guy who stopped to give $1 to the guy standing on the curb. We are challenged by the legal issues. League City tried to do this and wound up in court as a result of this, and they have since refined their ordinance. It kind of is the model right now for acceptable approaches to dealing with the solicitation issue. So we're looking for ways to keep the county out of trouble, but at the same time be able to deal with the problem panhandling in the roadway. And at the same time, once you attack that issue, then all of the people you really want to be, the firemen who stand out there with the boots and collect for worthwhile charity, they're going to get affected by those things too.
What is the panel's view as to the better safety tool on TC Jester? Stop signs or stoplight? Just throwing you stoplight people alone right there. You wanted to hear more about it.
I've given my answer, I'm waiting until I get the study back.
Well, and I'll give you my opinion, but it's just an opinion. I can sit down and pull all kinds of statistics as the sheriff could on citations and stop signs. The roadway was designed to support it. And our challenge is to move traffic through in a manner safe for both the driver and the community. And if if stop signs would do that, then that's fine. If red lights will do it as effectively, and it takes an engineering study to come up with answers that mean something to people who design and deal with roads. From a law enforcement perspective, I don't know whether one red light that you might have to stop at is better than 6 stop signs. We've got a number of areas along the Cypresswood area, that seem to be stop sign forests. It does challenge the traffic to move through those areas where you have to stop multiple times. It's almost encouraging people to start running in some portion.
The residential areas.
Oh yes, they're residential areas.
The engineering study isn't going to talk to safety, it's going to talk to volumes of traffic.
Well, I think safety is a part of the engineering.
And someone wants to know about the proposed site for new courthouse and facilities.
The current courthouse is, and has been for a long time, over capacity. And the individuals trying to get in and out of that courthouse during the peak hours were having a difficult time, and packing in our law enforcement like sardines. It's not, it has long been our volume has expanded the capacity of that building to handle it. With our growth in the region where we are adding between 80 and 100 people per day in this region to service, it needs some help. Currently, we're in the quest to try to find a new location. There have been a number of great ideas. The judge has been helpful. Judge Adams has been helpful. We've had great help from the constable's office, from the sheriff's office, and others in the input for where it needs to be relocated. The problem is that land right now is size enough to be able to handle that volume is rare, and when you do find it, it's expensive. And so we do not have a location, an optimal location just yet. For a while, we were looking at converting the old store, grocery store that was on the corner of Urban Mall in 1960, and then found that all of the EPA problems and the problems with the building trying to convert it over would cost us far more than just building a new courthouse complex with adequate facilities in another location. We do know that part of the community support and demand is that we have the capacity to have multiple courtrooms so that we can have multiple trials occurring at one time. And then that way, some of our judges that are in the smaller precincts in the county who do not have the same volume can come up and help carry the load of what we have in this region, which is one of the most largest sets of precincts that we have. And I know that Judge Corduba is very interested in that process. She'll answer questions for you later if you wish to ask her. But it's an important process. And so we don't have a location yet. We're looking all over. If you've got a great idea, send us your email to tell us that perfect location that you think. Send it to either the constable's office or the sheriff's office, because we're cooperating interdepartmentally in this process.
What is being done to control the groups of people seeking day labor along Stubner Airline north of Cypresswood?
How many of you think that Texas peace officers have the authority to address immigration issues? Anybody? Do you believe that a Texas police officer has the authority to address the immigration or illegal alien issue? No. Zero. So how they got here is of no concern to us. What we have to concern ourselves with, have they violated a Texas statute? Routinely, we are responding to fights among them where they have class distinctions, masonry bricklayers better than a lawn guy or a construction worker. They'll snitch out on one another. Both the sheriff's office and my office have for a long time responded. Many years ago, 10, 15 years ago, you could call ICE, they'd come out with a bus, pick up every one of them, and go away. That's just not the case anymore. The folks who live in Wimbledon have absolutely dealt with this for a long, long time. And it is a very difficult situation because now the convenience store on the corner, their Wimbledon Steaks and Studer relies on that business. they have to have them selling sandwiches, sodas in order to stay busy because they won't have any other business coming in. With those folks standing on the corner, nobody else will stop. So they're not going to be anxious to file criminal trespass charges against the people that are going to be buying the merchandise from them. So we can't
That's the key.
yeah, we can't get cooperation from the businesses that are there who want to. Well, there's not much in the way of criminal that we can do with those folks. We do have routine complaints from between them. Well, he hit me, or he's holding a bag of marijuana, or that guy stabbed that guy last week. So when we do file charges, we automatically check to see if they need to be deported or retained. So it's a standard part of the process. But there is no aggressive effort to deal with that as a day labor location.
You know, our time is starting to run a little short here, and so I want to reiterate my appreciation, Devon, for the work that you've done in putting this together for the community, and thank you for organizing this and putting it on. And also could we have David Laird, who is the pastor of this church, and the volunteers that have helped with this thing? Would y'all stand? Would y'all stand, please? That's willing to not hide itself underneath the bushel and be involved in all of the community. So I thank you for it.
Yes, thank you very much. It's a beautiful church. I'll just read a couple more and then we'll wrap it up. Has any serious consideration been given to high school students who continue to get in trouble and be disruptive in school, get sent to trade school as it appears they are not interested in being at school? This is very disruptive to the students who do not want to be there. Do the ISD officers have anything to say about that?
Okay, the question was in regard to sending them to trade school?
Right, and just how disruptive students are dealt with in school. Repeat offenders.
Okay, repeat offenders are currently being addressed through school administration. And they do have guidelines that they do follow that send them to alternative settings. So while the state does say that students have to be provided an education, we help them to understand that they do not have to receive that education in any one district. So we are taking a diligent effort in having any type of repeat offenders moved out of our district and into alternative settings, and monitoring closely through the district their return to our district.
I'm sure everyone in here, in one corner or another, has heard about No Child Left Behind. What that means is no child left behind, no matter what their disruption is, no matter what they're doing. We have an obligation to provide them with an education. By law, we have to, and that's what Capt. Garza was discussing, is we can remove them from our setting, and that may be an alternative placement, or it may be a juvenile justice placement. But when I was a kid, expelled meant expelled. That meant no more. Today, that's not the case. As far as the second half of that question with the trade school, to be honest with you, I don't know that the districts have the authority or funding to actually do that. I know that they incline the career and technology and the education side. Those programs are being built up. They're growing quite rapidly, and I think it is to address that we do have students that may or may not, that in the classroom environment, they're not even challenged or engaged, but in the career and technology side, they are. So we're recognizing that, and they're working hard to provide them with alternative types of education.
And then someone asked for advice during the holiday season. Has security been increased? I'll let the officers answer that, but I want to say that on our website, we have a public service announcement video that we just produced, and we're going to try to keep doing those throughout the year on different topics. But this topic has to do with a scam that's called credit card skimming, where when you give your credit card to a cashier or a waiter, someone who then goes and runs it on the machine, they have a handheld device where they can slide your credit card across it and it captures all of your information. Name, the number, the little number on the back, the expiration date, so then they can use your credit card. So the advice that our identity theft division is giving this holiday season, which is kind of surprising to me, is shop online. It's the safest way to shop, believe it or not. The second safest way is to use cash, which of course you could be robbed, but that is another piece of advice I would give you is be aware, especially ladies, be aware of your surroundings when you're walking to your car. If you go to the mall, park under a light, have your keys in your hand ready to go, because more women are robbed when they are fumbling for their keys or they're putting their kid in the car seat in the back. Another scam is where women are leaving their purses on the passenger side. You know, when you're driving, you put your purse in the passenger seat, and then you get out to pump gas. What's it called, Jeff? Where's Jeff? What's that?
Squatters.
What?
Squatters. Sliders.
Sliders, that's right. I knew there was there's like a nifty term for it. They're called sliders. They pull into your car, they pull up by your car on the passenger side and reach in and grab your purse, or open the door, grab your purse while you're pumping gas. So be aware of that. Hide your packages. Don't leave your iPad on the seat. Don't leave your iPhone on, in the console. These are all common sense things, but sometimes, the holiday season's crazy. We're not really thinking on firing on all cylinders at the time. So these are just things to think about. I'll let the officers answer if they've increased security during the holidays, what their plan is for the holidays.
And we take the police department to supervise DC Chester, not to get out there.
That's a ridiculous question. If you haven't gotten Larry Lipton's little emails, you need to get on his list, because I think the last one we put out was a fairly informative list of crime prevention tips for the holidays, and you haven't hit 2 or 3 of them. Another one, and this doesn't look like a Facebook crowd, but don't post your vacation plans, don't put stuff out there that allows people to know that you're going to be home. As she mentioned, don't leave things on your car, don't make yourself a target. Don't fill your hands up with packages where you couldn't get to your car keys. Just make sure that you're considerate of what your personal space is. There's always those concerns over the holidays and things are going to happen. And there is usually an uptick in criminal activity for those people who don't have any way of making money. But there are a variety of different locations. I'm sure has some crime prevention tips on his website as we read. But take advantage when someone suggests those things to you.
The Sheriff's Department has instituted a holiday overtime program thanks to the Commissioner, the Sheriff, finding some additional money for savings in our budget. And you'll see a lot more visibility in and around the shopping centers along the 1960 corridor. That's the main area that we're concentrating on. I know the Constable's done the same. So during the holiday season, you're going to see a lot more deputies and constables in these shopping areas. You'll also see our Skywatch, which is a nifty, neat tool that goes up 28 feet in the air, and it houses 2 police officers in it, and they're able to use high-definition cameras to observe parking areas, prevent burglary of motor vehicles. So you're going to see a lot more police through the end of the year in these shopping areas.
Thank you. I'd like to thank all the panel members for being here, and I want to thank you all for showing up, because you obviously care about your community very much. I know you are voters, you are concerned citizens, so as a personal, I would like to make a personal plea for you to please show up for jury duty, because you are the kind of jurors that we need downtown, and we don't get many of people like you. You want to know how to keep repeat offenders off the street? Show up for jury duty and do your duty as a citizen. We need people who care about their community and who don't want criminals preying on us. So thank you very much for coming. Again, you can email me through our website, and you can call too. I'll try to get back to each and every one of you if you call. And I know all these people on the panel are welcome. They're welcoming your comments and calls too. So happy holidays, and thank you for coming.